Ladies, let me tell you something many men will never say out loud, but every woman needs to hear. Men test women. Not because they want to play games, not because they want to waste time, but because deep down a man knows. If he chooses the wrong woman, he risks his peace, his future, and even his purpose. You see, when a man meets a woman, he doesn't just look at her beauty, her smile, or her charm. He looks deeper. He watches, he observes, he studies, because he wants to know, is she the one who will stand beside me when life gets heavy? Is she the one who will lift me up when the world tries to break me? Is she the one who loves me for who I am, not just for what I give? And here's the truth. Men may never admit it, but they quietly put women through unspoken tests. Tests of patience, of loyalty, of respect, of authenticity. Not to hurt her, but to reveal her, because a man knows. Only the real will remain. Ladies, let's talk about something important, the way men test women. Many women don't even realize it's happening, but men, consciously or unconsciously, set certain tests before deciding whether a woman is the one they truly want to commit to. Understanding these tests isn't about playing games, but about awareness, self-respect, and recognizing your worth. The very first and most important way a man tests a woman is through respect. Respect is the foundation of every healthy relationship. And when a man is truly serious about a woman, he pays close attention to how much respect she has, not just for him, but more importantly for herself. You see, ladies, if a woman does not respect herself, it becomes very easy for others to take advantage of her. A man will notice how she carries herself, the way she allows people to treat her, and the way she responds when lines are crossed. If she allows constant disrespect, insults, or neglect, he immediately understands that she doesn't value her own worth. And if she doesn't value herself, why should he? A man might test this in small ways. For example, he may make a light-hearted joke that crosses a boundary just to see how she responds. Does she laugh it off even though it hurt her? Or does she calmly and confidently let him know that she doesn't tolerate being belittled? That single reaction tells him more than 100 conversations. Respect is not about pride or ego. It's about dignity. A man wants to know, does this woman demand respect through her actions, or does she settle for less just to keep someone around? Because the truth is, the woman who commands respect without begging for it, the woman who walks away from situations where her value is ignored, automatically earns the highest place in a man's heart. And here's something many women overlook. Respect is not only about what you refuse to accept, but also about what you give. A man pays attention to whether a woman respects his time, his efforts, his dreams, and even the way she speaks to him in private and in public. Because love without respect is fragile, but respect builds a foundation that love can grow on. That's why men test this first. They want to see if a woman respects herself enough to be respected by others, and if she knows how to give respect without losing her own dignity in the process. Another way men test women is through boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are healthy limits that protect your peace, your values, and your self-worth. And believe me, men notice them very carefully. A man might test a woman by gently pushing her limits, sometimes even without realizing it. He may call late at night when he knows she needs rest, just to see if she will always sacrifice herself to answer. He might try to cancel plans at the last minute, not because he doesn't care, but to see if she allows her time to be treated as optional. He may even test how far he can go physically or emotionally before she stands her ground. Now, here's the truth. Men respect the women who respect their own boundaries. When a woman says no, with firmness, not anger, she is teaching the man how to treat her. If she constantly bends, compromises, and allows her limits to be crossed, he understands that he doesn't need to put in effort because she will accept less. But when she holds her boundaries with confidence, he realizes this is a woman who values herself, and therefore he must value her too. Boundaries are not about being cold, distant, or selfish. They are about clarity. A woman with strong boundaries knows what she deserves, what she will accept, and what she will never tolerate. She doesn't play games, but she also doesn't allow her kindness to be mistaken for weakness. And men, they test this because deep down, they want a woman who can guide the relationship with balance. A woman without boundaries invites chaos. A woman with boundaries creates stability. And men, whether they admit it or not, crave stability in the woman they choose for the long term. So when a man tests your boundaries, he is not always trying to break you down. Sometimes he's looking to see if you are truly rooted in your standards. Because the woman who stands firm in her boundaries without fear of losing him is the woman he realizes he cannot afford to lose. Another way men test women is through emotional control. Believe it or not, men watch very closely how a woman reacts under pressure, in conflict, or in moments of frustration. This isn't because they want her to be emotionless. It's because they want to know if she can manage her emotions with maturity and grace. You see, emotions are powerful. Love, anger, jealousy, happiness, sadness. They can build a relationship, but if they are not controlled, they can also destroy it. A man might test a woman by creating small moments of tension. Maybe he disagrees with her opinion, not because he wants to fight, but because he wants to see how she disagrees. Does she attack his character? Does she raise her voice and throw hurtful words that can't be taken back? Or does she express her feelings firmly but with respect and calmness? Men respect women who know how to control their emotions because emotional discipline shows strength. Any woman can be sweet when things are going her way, but a man looks at what happens when things don't go as planned. That's when the true character is revealed. A man might even delay a reply to her message, not out of neglect, but to see if she remains patient or if she explodes with accusations. He may share a difficult truth about himself, something vulnerable, just to see if she reacts with compassion or with judgment. These moments are silent tests, and they reveal if she can be trusted with his heart. And here's something powerful. A woman who controls her emotions doesn't mean she hides them. She doesn't pretend to be unbothered when she is. She expresses what she feels, but she does it in a way that brings understanding instead of destruction. That balance is rare, and men value it deeply, because think about it, life will always bring challenges, disagreements, and storms. A man is not just choosing a partner for happy days, he's choosing a partner for the storms too. If she can stay calm, grounded, and respectful even in the storm, he knows she is the kind of woman who can walk with him for a lifetime. And that is why men test emotional control, not to frustrate a woman, but to see if she has the strength to carry love with wisdom, patience, and balance. One of the strongest tests men use is loyalty during difficult times. It's easy to love someone when everything is beautiful, when money is flowing, when success is high, when laughter is plenty. But the real question a man carries in his heart is, will she still stand by me when life gets heavy? A man may not always say this out loud, but deep inside, he wants to know if a woman's love is conditional or unshakable. He may go through a financial setback, lose an opportunity, face family problems, or even fall into a season of self-doubt. During those moments, he watches closely. Does she complain and compare him to others? Does she distance herself, waiting for someone better to come along, or does she encourage him, remind him of his strength, and stay loyal even when the world seems to turn against him? True loyalty is not tested in sunshine. It's tested in the storm. And this is exactly why men create or observe situations to measure it. Sometimes He might even downplay his own success or act like he has less than he truly does, just to see if she is interested in him or in what he provides. This isn't manipulation, it's protection. A man wants to feel safe in her loyalty, knowing she is not with him only for the good times. Loyalty doesn't mean blind obedience or ignoring mistakes. It means standing with someone because you believe in them, even when they are not at their best. It's in those moments of weakness where a man sees the true strength of a woman's love. If she can love him when he feels like he has nothing, he realizes she is the woman who deserves everything when he has it all. And here's the truth. Men may not always express it, but they fear betrayal deeply. They know that trust once broken is almost impossible to rebuild. That's why loyalty is such a sacred test. A man doesn't just need a partner for celebrations. He needs a partner who becomes his backbone in trials. So when life throws challenges and she remains loyal, encouraging, patient, and unshaken, that's when he looks at her and thinks, this is the kind of woman I can build a life with. This is the kind of woman I cannot let go. Another way men test women is by looking at whether her love is material or genuine. This test is subtle but very real, because men know there is a difference between being wanted for who they are and being wanted for what they can provide. A man might take a woman to expensive dinners, buy her gifts, or show her generosity, but at the same time he wonders, if all of this disappeared tomorrow, would she still be here? It's not about greed, it's about security. Men want to feel that a woman's heart is attached to their soul, not to their wallet. Sometimes a man will even hold back on spending too much, just to see if she remains the same. He may choose a simple restaurant over a fancy one, or he may drive his old car instead of his best, only to watch her reaction. Does she act disappointed? Does her energy change depending on what he provides? Or does she stay warm, supportive, and present regardless of the setting? The woman who passes this test shows that her love is rooted in connection, not in material benefits. She values time together over things, effort over money, sincerity over luxury. And this matters deeply to men, because the man who truly wants to build a future knows material things come and go. But real love, the kind that stays through thick and thin, is priceless. Now let's be clear. Appreciating gifts or enjoying comfort is not wrong. Every man loves to spoil the woman he loves, and every woman deserves to be treated well. But the line is crossed when love becomes conditional on what he provides. Men notice if she's more excited about the bag in her hand than the man holding it, or if her affection grows only when his pockets are full. That's why men test this. They want to know, does she see me as a provider or as a partner? Does she love me for my status or for my soul? And when he finds a woman whose love is genuine, who is just as happy in simplicity as in abundance, he feels safe. Safe to give, safe to grow, and safe to trust that her love is not for sale. Because at the end of the day, men don't just want someone who enjoys their success. They want someone who would still hold their hand if success was stripped away. That is the test of genuine love, and the woman who proves it will always stand apart from the rest. Another powerful way men test women is through independence. A man observes closely whether a woman can stand on her own 2 feet, or whether she constantly depends on others for her happiness, stability, and identity. Independence doesn't mean she doesn't need anyone. It means she knows how to manage her life without clinging or relying on others to define her worth. Men test this in many subtle ways. For example, he may watch how she spends her time when he's not around. Does she pursue her own passions, goals, and responsibilities? Or does she sit idly, waiting for him to fill every moment of her life? A man might also pay attention to financial independence. It doesn't mean she has to be rich, but he wants to know if she is responsible with money, if she has her own ambitions, or if she expects someone else to carry her entirely. Men respect women who can support themselves because it shows strength, maturity, and discipline. But independence goes beyond finances. It's also emotional independence. A man will notice if a woman can handle her emotions without constantly leaning on others for validation. Does she believe in herself? Can she find happiness in her own company? Or does she constantly demand reassurance and attention? Men test this because they don't want to feel trapped in a relationship where they must constantly fix, save, or rescue someone who cannot stand alone. Here's the truth: men admire women who are whole on their own. A woman who has her own dreams, who values her personal growth, who can handle her responsibilities, and who knows how to live with or without a man. That kind of woman earns deep respect. And ironically, it is her independence that makes a man want to give her more of himself, because he knows she doesn't need him, she chooses him. A woman who is independent doesn't cling out of fear of losing him. Instead, she walks beside him as a partner, not as a shadow. She supports him, but she also supports herself. And men test this because they want to know if she will add to their life or only drain from it. At the end of the day, independence is not about separation. It's about strength. The woman who shows she can build her own life is the one a man wants to build a future with. Because when two strong, independent individuals come together, the relationship becomes unshakable. Another test men use, often silently, is consistency. A man doesn't just pay attention to what a woman says. He watches closely to see if her words and actions match over time. Because anyone can make promises in the beginning, but consistency proves whether those promises are real. In the early stages of knowing a woman, a man might hear her speak about honesty, loyalty, or kindness. But instead of just listening, he observes. Does she live by the standards she claims to hold? If she says she values respect, does she give it consistently, not just when it's convenient? If she says she supports his goals, does she stand by them when it requires patience or only when it benefits her? Men will test consistency in subtle ways. For example, he may notice how she treats him not just on good days, but on stressful days. Is her affection stable, or does it rise and fall with her mood? He may also look at how she treats others, the waiter, the driver, the strangers she meets, because how she behaves with them consistently reveals her true character. Another way men check consistency is through time. In the beginning, almost anyone can give their best self. But as weeks, months, and even years pass, does she remain the same woman he was first drawn to? Or does she slowly change once she feels secure? A man values the woman who doesn't wear a mask, who doesn't show love one day and indifference the next, but who demonstrates steady care, effort, and values throughout the relationship. And here's something important. Men are not looking for perfection. They know everyone has bad days. But what they want to see is stability. Does she apologize when wrong, or does she justify inconsistency? Does she keep her word, or does she break promises when circumstances change? A man knows that a future can only be built with someone whose actions can be trusted to align with their word. Consistency builds trust. Without it, love becomes fragile, full of doubts and insecurities. But when a woman is consistent in her love, in her respect, in her values, she becomes a safe place for a man's heart. And safety is something men rarely admit, but deeply desire. That is why men test consistency, because in a world full of temporary people and shifting loyalties, the woman who remains steady, who shows up the same way in both sunshine and storm, becomes unforgettable. One of the most overlooked yet deeply important ways men test women is through patience. Patience is not simply about waiting. It is about how you carry yourself while waiting. and men pay very close attention to this, because it reveals maturity, self-control, and the ability to handle life's timing. A man might deliberately delay certain things just to see how a woman reacts. He may not rush into a commitment, not because he doesn't care, but because he wants to observe if she pressures him constantly, or if she allows the relationship to grow naturally. He may take his time to open up emotionally, to share his deepest fears, or to plan for the future. In those moments, he notices, does she push him, demand from him, and grow frustrated quickly? Or does she stand by with understanding, allowing him the space he needs to evolve? Patience also shows in how a woman responds to imperfections. No man is perfect. He will make mistakes, he will have flaws, and he will sometimes fall short. A patient woman doesn't immediately throw everything away at the first sign of trouble. Instead, she knows the difference between a mistake and a pattern. She gives room for growth, she communicates, and she allows love to breathe instead of suffocating it with demands. Men often test patience in the smallest ways too. Maybe he shows up late once, maybe he's slow to reply, maybe he's going through stress and doesn't act as warm as usual. These are not always signs of disinterest. Sometimes they are silent ways to see if she can handle the ebb and flow of real life. Because if her love is only present when everything is smooth and instant, he knows it will not last through the storms. But patience doesn't mean waiting forever in situations where respect is missing. True patience is balanced with wisdom. It's about knowing when to wait and when to walk away, and men respect the woman who can tell the difference. Here's the truth. Patience is love's greatest proof. It says, I believe in you, I believe in us, and I trust that what we're building is worth the wait. And when a man sees that kind of patience in a woman, he doesn't forget it. Because in a world where everyone is rushing, a woman who is patient stands out like a rare jewel. That is why men test patience. Because if a woman cannot endure the waiting, the setbacks, or the growing pains, she will not be able to endure the journey of life with him. But if she shows calmness, trust, and strength in those moments, he sees her as someone truly built for forever. Another way men test women, often without even saying it, is through how much they respect his space. Every man, no matter how much he loves, needs moments to breathe, think, and recharge. And how a woman handles this need tells him volumes about her maturity. You see, men value their independence, their personal time, and their goals. A man may love a woman deeply, but he also needs time to focus on his work, his passions, his friends, or simply his own silence. During those moments, he pays attention to her reaction. Does she take it personally? Does she assume distance means rejection? Or does she trust him enough to give him the space he needs without questioning his love? Sometimes a man will deliberately step back a little, not to play games, but to see if she respects his individuality. He may spend a weekend on his hobbies, hang out with his friends, or pour himself into his career. And during that time he notices, does she become insecure, demanding constant reassurance? Or does she allow him to grow and return to her freely? Respecting space doesn't mean ignoring each other. It means understanding that love grows stronger when two people can also stand as individuals. A woman who respects his space shows she is confident, secure, and emotionally mature. She doesn't need to monitor his every move because she trusts his character and their bond. And here's something powerful. When a man feels that his space is respected, he actually gives more of himself. He feels free, not trapped. He feels understood, not controlled. And because of that, he naturally wants to share more time, more love, and more commitment with her. Ironically, the more a woman respects his space, the more he wants to close that space and draw her closer. But when space is not respected, it creates suffocation. A man begins to feel like he's losing his identity inside the relationship, and that's when distance and conflict arise. Men don't test space to push women away. They test it to see if she can love him without caging him. Because the truth is, real love doesn't mean being together every second. It means trusting that even when apart, the bond is unshaken. And the woman who understands that, the one who gives him freedom while still holding his heart, becomes the woman he cannot live without. One of the most telling ways men test women is through conflict handling. Disagreements are inevitable in any relationship. No two people see eye to eye on everything, but it's not the presence of conflict that destroys love, it's the way conflict is handled, and men watch this very carefully. A man might intentionally challenge a woman's opinion, not to disrespect her, but to see how she responds when her perspective is different from his. Does she immediately raise her voice, insult him, and turn it into a battle of egos? Or does she communicate her view calmly, firmly, and respectfully, even if she disagrees? This difference tells him whether the relationship will grow through challenges or collapse under them. Sometimes, he will bring up uncomfortable topics, finances, family, personal weaknesses, just to test her reactions. Will she use those moments to attack and belittle him, or will she use them to build understanding? A woman's reaction in conflict reveals not just her emotional state, but her maturity, self-control, and the true depth of her character. Men deeply value women who know how to fight fair. That doesn't mean silence or suppressing feelings. It means expressing emotions without destroying respect. It means disagreeing without humiliating. It means remembering, even in anger, that words cannot be unsaid, and wounds caused by the tongue can last longer than the conflict itself. And here's what many don't realize: conflict is not the enemy of love, it is the test of it. The real enemy is disrespect, pride, and the inability to resolve. A woman who can navigate conflict with patience, with grace, and with the desire to solve rather than to win, shows a man that she is built for longevity. This is why men test conflict. They know that good times are easy, anyone can be sweet when the sun is shining. But what happens when the storm comes? Does she become cruel, manipulative, or destructive? Or does she become a partner who helps weather the storm without sinking the ship? A man who finds a woman who can handle conflict with wisdom knows he has found something rare. Because true strength is not just about how much love you can give in peace, it's about how much love you can protect in war. And the woman who proves she can fight for the relationship, not against it, earns a place in his heart that cannot be replaced. Another way men test women is by observing how much they are influenced by other people. Friends, family, and even the noise of society. Because the truth is, a relationship is not just between two hearts, it is constantly tested by the voices around them. A man wants to see if a woman has her own mind, her own judgment, and her own ability to stand firm in what she believes. He will notice if she easily changes her opinion depending on who she's with, or if she remains steady in her values. For example, he may tell her something personal and then watch to see if it suddenly becomes public through gossip. He may notice if her decisions about him shift depending on what her friends or relatives think. This is not just curiosity. It's a test of her loyalty to truth over pressure. Sometimes, a man might even put her in situations where others' opinions clash with his. Maybe his career path isn't popular, or maybe his choices don't align with what others expect. In those moments, he watches her carefully. Does she support him confidently, or does she begin to doubt him simply because outside voices are louder? Men value women who can listen to advice, yes, but who ultimately make their own choices with wisdom and strength. A woman who allows outsiders to control her relationship creates instability. But a woman who can think for herself, who knows when to filter out negativity, and who protects her relationship from unnecessary outside influence, that woman gives him security. And here's something important: every relationship will face critics. Friends might give warnings, family might express doubts, and society might have its own opinions. But what a man wants to see is whether she can separate real guidance from destructive influence. Because at the end of the day, it is not outsiders who live the relationship. It is the two people inside it. That's why men test this. They want to know if she is strong, minded enough to walk beside him, even when others don't approve. They want to know if her loyalty is to truth, not to gossip, to love, not to peer pressure. Because the woman who cannot be easily swayed by the world is the woman he knows will stand firm when the world turns against them. A man doesn't just want love in private. He wants loyalty in public. And when he finds a woman who protects their bond from outside interference, who chooses him with her own heart instead of letting others choose for her, he knows she is a partner he can trust for life. Another way men test women is by paying attention to her values and morals. These are the guiding principles that shape a person's life, the invisible lines that define what she stands for, what she accepts, and what she refuses. And for a man who is serious about building a future, nothing matters more than knowing whether his values align with hers. A man may test this in subtle ways. He might bring up sensitive topics, family, honesty, faith, loyalty, or even lifestyle choices, not because he's trying to argue, but because he wants to see where she truly stands. Is she grounded in her beliefs, or does she shift depending on the situation? Does she live by her morals consistently, or does she bend them when it's convenient? For example, if a woman says honesty matters to her, a man will observe if she practices it. Does she keep secrets, tell half-truths, or twist facts when it benefits her? Or is she someone whose integrity shines even in small matters? Men notice these details because they know that character in small things always predicts character in bigger ones. Values also reveal priorities. A man will pay attention to how she treats people below her, how she speaks when no one is listening, and how she handles temptation. Does she treat others with dignity, or only when she wants something in return? Does she stand by her principles even when no one is watching? These quiet moments are where true morals are tested, and men are watching. Because here's the truth: beauty fades, material things change, but values and morals are what carry a relationship into the future. If a man's vision is to build a family, he wants to know if her values align with raising children in love, respect, and discipline. If his dream is to live a life of honesty and purpose, he needs to know she shares that foundation. That's why men test this, not to judge or to criticize, but to protect their future. They want to know if they are choosing a partner who will walk in the same direction, or if they are tying their life to someone whose compass points elsewhere. And when a man finds a woman whose values are firm, whose morals are clear, and whose life reflects the principles she speaks of, he feels safe. Safe to trust, safe to commit, safe to dream. Because he knows this is not just a woman of beauty. This is a woman of substance, and substance never fades. One of the most significant ways men test women is by observing whether she truly supports his growth. Every man carries within him dreams, ambitions, and a vision for his life. But along with those dreams comes fear, pressure, and moments of self-doubt. And in those vulnerable spaces, he silently watches the woman beside him to see. Does she push me forward, or does she hold me back? A man might test this in small, everyday ways. He may share his goals with her, starting a business, pursuing a career move, or trying to improve himself, and then he listens. Does she dismiss his dreams as unrealistic? Does she laugh, criticize, or discourage him? Or does she encourage him, reminding him that he is capable, reminding him that he has someone who believes in him even when the world doesn't? Sometimes, a man will intentionally reveal his weaknesses, his failures, or his insecurities, not to burden her, but to see if she uses those moments to uplift him or to tear him down. He notices whether she's the type to say, "You'll never make it," or the type to say, "I know it's hard, but I believe in you." That difference is everything. Men long for women who see more in them than they see in themselves. A man may be strong on the outside, but inside he craves the reassurance that his partner sees his potential. And when she speaks life into him, when she reminds him of his greatness even in his lowest moment, he feels unstoppable. But support is more than just words. It is also actions. Does she celebrate his small victories, or does she only appear when success is visible to everyone? Does she respect the time he invests in building his future, or does she resent it? Does she walk with him patiently when progress is slow, or does she complain and compare him to others? These are silent tests men use to measure if she is truly by his side for the long haul. Here's the truth: every man wants a partner, not just a critic. He already faces enough doubt from the world. He doesn't want to face it at home. The woman who supports his growth doesn't just help him succeed. She becomes part of his success. And when he reaches the top, he remembers who stood beside him when he was still climbing. That's why men test for this quality. They want to know if she is someone who builds or someone who breaks. Because the woman who builds with him, who supports his growth with patience, encouragement, and loyalty, becomes priceless in his eyes. She becomes not just a partner in love, but a partner in destiny. Perhaps the most important test of all is authenticity. Men want to know, is she real? Not the version she thinks he wants to see, not the mask she wears to impress the world, but her true self. Because anyone can put on an act for a short time, but masks eventually fall. And men, whether they admit it or not, are always looking for the woman who is genuine from the beginning. A man may test authenticity in many ways. He may ask simple questions about her past or her goals, not because he wants perfect answers, but because he wants honest ones. He may observe how she acts around different people. Does she change her personality completely to fit in, or does she remain consistent? He may even watch how she behaves when no one is watching, because that is when authenticity speaks the loudest. Men notice when a woman tries too hard to impress, pretending to like what she doesn't, agreeing when she actually disagrees, or acting in ways that don't align with who she really is. At first, it might seem charming, but eventually, a man realizes he is falling in love with an image, not a person, and no one can build a lifetime with an image. On the other hand, a woman who is authentic shines differently. She doesn't hide her flaws to appear perfect. She owns them. She doesn't fake her opinions just to be liked. She speaks her truth with confidence. She doesn't need to play games because she knows that the right man will love her for who she is, not for who she pretends to be. And here's what men respect deeply. Authenticity creates trust. A man feels safe when he knows the woman in front of him is real. Safe that her words are genuine. Safe that her actions match her heart. Safe that tomorrow she will be the same person he fell in love with today. Sometimes a man might even test this directly. He may purposely show his own flaws, reveal his weaknesses, or share something vulnerable just to see if she responds with her own honesty or if she hides behind a mask. Authenticity invites authenticity, and the woman who can be herself without fear, who can love without pretending, who can live without wearing a disguise, that woman is unforgettable. Because beauty may attract him, charm may impress him, but authenticity is what keeps him. And when a man finds a woman who is true to herself, he knows he has found something rare, something real, something worth holding onto forever. Another silent but powerful test men place before women is patience. Not just patience with him, but patience with life, with the process, and with the seasons that every relationship must go through. Because the truth is, no man has everything figured out at once. Even the strongest, most ambitious man will have moments of delay, times when progress feels slow, and chapters where things don't look perfect. And in those times he watches closely. Does she stay or does she rush? Does she believe in the bigger picture or does she demand everything now? Men may test this by observing how she reacts when things don't move as quickly as she wants. Does she complain, nag, and constantly compare him to others, or does she stand with him while he builds? Sometimes a man will purposely hold back a little, not because he cannot give, but because he wants to see if she truly understands the value of waiting, of timing, of growth. Patience reveals character. A woman who is patient shows that she is not just after instant gratification, but after something lasting. She shows that she is wise enough to see beyond temporary struggles and strong enough to trust the journey. And men know this. The woman who is patient in the waiting season will also be patient in the storms of marriage, in the challenges of family, in the setbacks of life. But patience isn't passive. It doesn't mean doing nothing. True patience is active. It's supporting him while he climbs, encouraging him while he builds, standing beside him when he stumbles, and reminding him that the delay doesn't mean denial. Patience is about faith, faith in him, faith in the relationship, faith that what they're building together will be worth the time it takes. And men notice everything. They notice whether she can handle delayed plans without anger. They notice if she respects his pace instead of trying to force her own timeline. They notice if she can smile even when things are uncertain, because deep down she knows that greatness takes time. A woman's patience is powerful because it tells a man, I believe in you, I believe in us, and I'm not going anywhere. And when a man sees that, when he feels that kind of loyalty and calm strength, it gives him the fuel to fight harder, to rise stronger, to move with greater purpose. Because he knows he doesn't just have a woman, he has an anchor. Patience then is not weakness, it is not settling, it is not silence, it is strength, it is wisdom, it is love stretched across time. And when a woman carries patience, a man feels safe to grow. Safe to stumble, safe to take the time he needs, because he knows she will still be there when the season shifts. So, when we talk about how men test women, it's not always about tricks or games. It's about discovering her truth, her loyalty, her patience, her authenticity, her respect, her strength, and her heart. Men don't test because they want to play with a woman's emotions. They test because they want to protect their own. They want to know if the woman standing beside them is someone who can walk through fire, through storms, through delays, and still remain. Because every man knows, looks may fade, charm may pass, money may come and go. But the woman who proves her character, the woman who shows she can be trusted, respected, and loved through every test, that is the woman he will cherish forever. And here's the truth. These tests are not about perfection. No woman gets every moment right. They are about consistency, about showing that her love is not temporary, that her presence is not conditional, and that her heart is not for sale. In the end, a real man isn't just searching for beauty or fun or attention. He is searching for peace. He is searching for the woman who makes him feel safe enough to be vulnerable, strong enough to keep climbing, and loved enough to know he doesn't have to fight the world alone. And when he finds her, when she passes the silent tests not with performance but with her natural character, he stops testing, he stops searching, he stops wondering, because he knows she is the one.